They're good. They're good.
I'm a time traveler from the year 2025, and I've come here to kill you, Hitler.
Oh, not again. I'm never gonna have enough time to finish these paintings with all of these time travelers trying to kill me.
Well, I'm going to succeed.
Before you pull the trigger, can I just ask why? Why do all of you people want to kill me?
Isn't it obvious? I'm a progressive, a liberal, a fighter for social justice. And you are a fascist who implemented a reign of terror. And while the effects of your policies devastated the world for decades, soon we will be able to take back the White House, and we will be able to use the government to force people to follow our great ideas.
You want to use government power to force your ideas on the populace. Me too! That's fantastic!
What? No. Ugh. You and I have nothing in common. What I'm saying is there are people in our time with dangerous ideas, and we need to silence them.
Silencing those who disagree with you. I do that too! Oh, wunderbar! Oh, the Nazi movement will not die with me.
Don't give me that! I'm enlightened, and you're as bad as... well, as Hitler. Listen, what I'm trying to say is we are very close to implementing a utopia, as long as we can get rid of some certain undesirable people groups.
Yes, like the Jews.
Yes, like the Jews. Oh.
So, in the future, you also do not like the Jews?
Well, no. But we don't believe in segregating all the races like you do. I mean, except for, like, graduation ceremonies. In dorms. And hiring practices. Oh, and admissions policies. That sort of thing.
I, too, am a fan of the segregation. I'm sorry, I have to ask, is this a real firearm, or is this some kind of toy for kids?
It's a flare gun. I'm trying not to support America's toxic gun culture. I'm a firm believer in gun control.
Gun control! This was one of my ideas, too. Ban them from the undesirables. Yes, look here. Oh, and your shirt. This is an organization founded by Margaret Sanger. Yes?
Wait, you know about Margaret Sanger?
Jawohl, of course. Oh, she's such a lovely person.
No. She's a fighter for reproductive rights, for women's empowerment,
and the eradication of undesirable populations by means of eugenics. Brilliant lady, very inspiring. I must use some of her ideas in our socialized healthcare system.
Socialized healthcare? That's not your thing. That's our thing.
No, it's very much my thing. Did you know that Nazi means National Socialist German Workers' Party? Nazi is just more catchy. Nazi. Just rolls off the tongue.
No. This can't be true. This has to be some sort of mistake. We are nothing alike. You're Adolf Hitler, evil right-wing fascist dictator, and I'm a feminist restorative justice advocate. And a vegetarian.
You're a vegetarian? Me too!
Okay, I am so confused right now. I came here with a clear goal in mind to kill the most evil man to have ever lived. Besides Ronald Reagan. But now that I'm meeting you in person, you're not at all what I thought you were. And your painting is actually really good. What do you call it?
I call it Ein Reich ohne Juden.
Wow. I don't know what that means, but it sounds beautiful.
It does, doesn't it?
Hey guys, welcome to the program. Will you please do me a favor? Will you raise a finger? I know there's a few of you that give me a tease and give me the thumbs down each day. It's your ritual, and I'm glad you don't like my teaching so much that you're here every day. Loyalty's key. Anyway, folks, raise a finger, share this program. We're going to talk about some enlightening things like is Iihan Omar or Iihan Omar going to be deported? And did you know that the new Iran leader, the Iranian leader, is supremely gay? Is that oxymoronism? Or is it a death sentence? That's what we're going to talk about. By the way, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Please go to jovanlovesgold.com. That's what I'm asking. jovanlovesgold.com. Because now is the time to request your free gold and silver kit today. It's absolutely free. And I am telling you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, we are moving to a digital currency system. You're seeing restaurants and stores no longer take cash. It's being forced upon us. This is how they're going to eliminate everything you've got put back, stored back. This is how they're going to control everything. This is how it's going to be. If you don't comply, they'll just cut you off until you prove you're okay. You ever been banned from Facebook or had a temporary hold on your account because you posted something? Well, get ready. It's going to come for your money. This is why you need to understand the value of having some gold and silver. This is why I partner with the fine folks from Goldco. I'm telling you, this is a big deal. Please go to jovanlovesgold.com and get the free gold and silver kit today, because now's the time to protect your money with gold and silver. And I'm telling you, it is a big deal. Also, I want to let you know, God bless you, all of you guys, helping protect the full forensic archives of all the stuff that was done in Arizona. You see who and President Trump or them are trying to get a hold of everything in Maricopa. It's a process. You got to understand the process. And they're subpoenaing and requesting everything. Arizona's trying to dodge it, just like, Fulton, Georgia doesn't want to do this. They're suing. They don't want to turn over this. There's only one place where all of that information exists regarding what was on the ballots, right here with the full forensic archives. But we are behind. This is going to become incredible evidence. And when you understand that they've now raised Kamala over 75 million votes. Remember, Obama only got 69 million the first time, 65 million the second time. Hillary got 65 against Trump. Those were the rock stars. Then the coup happened. 81 million for poopy pants. Kamala came in at 68 on election even, and they now got over 15 months later, 75 million votes. You've got to look at it right. That's why that's little red angle pointing back to Biden. They're using and have been using this time to justify those BS votes that were on the book. And think about everybody who told you it was the machines, and it was Venezuela and Serbia and Kenya and Congo, everybody else except the United States. No, it's right here in the United States that it's done. Only one place has all the evidence. That's our full forensic archives, folks. There is no excuse for running in the election day votes, all suspended, all modified, running them in a month after the election. We caught it all. And everyone they manipulated, and each time they manipulate the ballot, it is a state and federal offense. Felony. That's why the system wants to stay away from it. We are the keepers of that truth. We will not make it to keeping it all the way through. This battle is going to be the midterms, and then it'll be a year of legal battles. There's only one place that exists. I would have never accounted for this before, folks. I didn't know. I was so naive coming into this as a technologist. Here it is. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to see it. But as we started looking at these things, we were only going to do about 5 or 6 different program reports that we had to create uniquely to be able to analyze forensically what was done. Whopping $210,000 contract to create, program, and do all of that. Except the problem was we realized we needed to develop more. We developed about 25 programs to check it on. Still have more we can do, and spent $3.5 million. $3.5 million we spent to do a $210,000 job. But the system tries to starve us down and wait us out. That's why they push all this stuff up. I'll tell you how this works. You know, everybody wanted full forensic audits. Lawmakers went out. One of them in Arizona, we're going to do full forensic audits in 38 states. Raised $4 million. You thought it was for full forensic audits. No, they had about $3.5 million of expenses in doing that. So nothing. You put it in their war chest. They raise money off of it. It's disgusting. And now you see how critical that information is. They're not seizing machines, folks. They're going after the ballots. That's where it is. And this is the only place that has that digital archive from beginning to end, forensically and chain of custody. And now you see Maricopa and Fulton County fighting to not do what's right. This is why, folks, here it is. There's the con. You can see it for yourself. They wouldn't be adding to Kamala if they weren't planning to steal the midterms. But the bottom line is, if we don't get there, we don't get there. And we found everything. And so we need your help. And right now, we're not on track to make it. And that's just the truth. And I told you I'd tell you the truth the whole time. But the numbers aren't working out. So we need your help. In this program, we're going to talk about is Iihan Omar headed to be deported? And it's the new Iranian leader, supremely gay. I'm going to give you a warning. There are several trigger warnings in this program that are going to come up. They are going to disgust you. They are going to repel you. But you have to understand how all of this works. My job is to make you the smartest patriot in the room. And if you don't know how the system does it to you, you cannot defend against it. Right? And no, I just want you to know, Donald J. Trump can't help. I'm not sure why. You got to understand that. You go through a process of evidence. And we go back to the Arizona audit. I designed it completely to be 1/4 Democrats, meaning all the people on the floor, 1/4 Democrats, 1/4 Republicans, 1/4 independents, 1/4 of people that did not vote. Why? Because then we have everybody involved. And with the documentation process that it goes through and the affidavit process they should have done, but they didn't, there would have been no way they could have pushed back on it. But the Democrats threatened any Democrat, any lawmaker, any Democrat voter in Arizona that assisted in the audit, they were going to blackmail and run out of town. So it didn't get pulled off that way. They smart. They knew what I was doing. They knew how I was setting them up. But you can't have President Trump parachute in and do it. Why? Because then it plays to partisan. Right now, you watch all the stuff going in Maricopa. It was the partisan audit. Can you imagine if President Trump dropped in and took care of this? They would say he bought evidence to prove his point. That cannot happen. We are on our own, baby. And you have to do it a very specific way. And we have to stay in a non-compromised position. That it's in perfect chain of custody. That it's the people's data. It's yours. The people's data. The people did this. It has to be done by us. As much as I would love for that check to be stroked, that would be the death knell. And we cannot do that. It just can't happen. It cannot happen. Even if it was offered, it can't happen. It's a legal issue. And I'm not going to compromise all of our work. I'm just not going to do it. But we're going to have some fun and we're going to puke at the same time. So share this program. 3 minutes, actually 2.5 minutes. That's what you got to share it. We'll get going.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America.
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you. Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, folks, here we go. There's many trending news stories that you need to know about. And has Iihan Omar finally got her walking papers? That's one of the questions. Many things are trending, but I do want to give you a trigger warning for this program. I'm going to show you some video shorts. 2 girls in a cup. No. It's as repulsive as that, but it's not as intense as that. You're probably going to want to look away. But don't. Don't. Because I'm going to open your eyes to something that's really just sickening, repulsive, that nobody talks about when it comes to certain things in Muslim culture, and we need to deal with it. Because we know we have a Muslim problem here in the United States of America. Okay, but I promise you it's not. 2 girls in a cup. Equia says, no such luck. The DOJ does not have the balls to send Iihan packing. Probably true in a neutered system, but the grounds for doing it are there, and that's part of what we're going to cover in this episode. Make sure you share it. Let me ask you a question. I'm going to start with just a little bit of a story. You may know that I'm a Texan and have had a home in Texas for, let me do some math real quick. I'm on 45 years. Is that right? Would that be right? 43 years since the time I bought my first home, which I bought very early. I was very fortunate, very young. No family help, just on my own. But at one point in time, I lived in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas, is one of the hot spots for technology in Texas. And I built a just amazing healthcare company there, a couple of them, one in allergies, helped do, and one in advanced testing procedures. So when you hear me talk about all of my medical patents, testing patents, medical research, diagnostic and stuff, that's all my work in my time in Austin, Texas, which I love. I grew up in San Antonio, loved the hill country. Austin is the start of the hill country, etc. So I lived in this area close to the Dominion in Austin. And I loved the neighborhood, right? Because I could leave my front door. I would walk just down the street, turn the corner, and there was the Starbucks. Nobody knew who I was. Have coffee early in the morning with my dog, Chief, and met a lot of people. Of course, that ended when they figured out who I was when I started doing the Arizona audit, and I was on every newscast in the world. And it ended my life in Austin having to get out of there to protect my family's lives. Anyway, and at the end of the parking lot where the Starbucks was is a Trader Joe's. I don't know about you, but I love Trader Joe's for many reasons. Great fresh stuff. But more importantly, in case you don't know this, Trader Joe's is only one of the, yes, by the way, Chief is still with me. That's my dog. He's actually a wolf. He's getting old. When I got him, he was so flea bitten and damaged and would fit in my ball cap. Now he's, 14 years old? He had his first episode the other day where he sat on the hardwood floor and his legs bled just the way he could not stand up. I almost couldn't pull him up. He's a big guy. He was just screaming and yelping. And even when he sleeps, his back leg shakes really bad. It's a problem because when he was younger, one of my horses stomped him right in the middle of the back. And you can, to this day, still feel a divot there. He survived it because how strong he was, but I know it did permanent damage, and now it's coming out. He's completely deaf now, which is sad. He's such a great guy. And so he's on the downward trend. But it's interesting. He's so smart. You know, I now talk to him through sign language, and he just follows like that. Having trouble getting up and down the stairs, and he can't walk miles and miles with me. He's probably good for a mile, and then that's about it. But anyway, I loved this neighborhood. I loved this neighborhood. Okay. And I love Trader Joe's. And one of the reasons, by the way, I love Trader Joe's is Trader Joe's is one of the only places in the country that carries wines from Israel. Right? Wines from Israel. You want to get and support Israel? Buy wines. They're so incredibly priced and so incredibly good, right? So incredibly priced and so incredibly good. By the way, don't ever post other messages in my program or you'll be gone forever. Don't do that stuff. Anyway, that's for Rumble. So that's why I support Trader Joe's. Anyway, so when you come into this neighborhood in Austin, when you're headed to downtown, if you've never been to a Trader Joe's, go to a Trader Joe's. I got it exposed to them in California 40 years ago, 35 years ago. They're great. They really are great, right? Great place to shop. Anyway, so when you're coming through downtown Austin, skirting town and skirting one of the loops, Austin literally has miles and miles and miles and miles, I kid you not, of tent cities under the underpasses. People living under the underpasses by the hundreds. And of course, they're doing the same bullshit racket. City buys a $12 million hotel to put them in that they bought from somebody like in the city council. And it was really only worth $2 million, and they ended up not putting anybody in there. Same stuff. And yes, by the way, I give CBD to him. Okay. Anyway, Chief, that's my guy. It's kind of a play on words. If you know that I command an exploration team, therefore my rank is commander, commanding a team in exploration. It's a joke. Commander in chief. Get it? Anyway. You loop around town, and at this particular place, you exit, go past like the BMW Mercedes dealership, and you come down the side, and you're going along, and you run along the overpass. And I remember the day that I looked at the overpass, and I thought to myself, why in the hell would the city paint, and I'm going to get a picture so you can understand, why would the city paint the overpass brindle? Do you know what brindle is? I'm going to show you a picture of brindle. Hang on, let me get the photo up, right? And I'll just use this one. It'll be easy enough, okay? This is a brindle cow. They're beautiful, right? You'll find it in dogs, you'll find it in cows or whatever, but the quote unquote name for it is brindle. So let me show it to you. And anyway, I'm driving down, and I'm thinking, when did the city paint the overpass brindle? Now, I'm already upset that the city is getting like $4,000 per sanctuary city person and spending a few $100s on them. I knew it was a racket. And right there by Trader Joe's and Macaroni Grill, Phil Romano, a great fan of mine. Macaroni Grills, a big mega hotel under the underpass. Each consecutive underpass was a tent dam city. And I knew something was coming in Austin when they put out an ordinance, because the homeless people would come down into the streets. And if they decided they wanted to take a shit in your yard, or they wanted to sleep in your yard, you as a property owner could not run them off. I kid you not. Could not run them off. A lot of you people having the same problem, right? Couldn't do it. That's when I knew Austin was going to hell in a handbasket. And it's a liberal hub in a red state. Well, that particular day, I'm driving down, I'm thinking, why did the county paint the overpass brindle? I thought, was this some sort of weird art project? You see the brindle on my screen. That's brindle right there. That's the color brindle. You see all the kind of different streaking and the different various shades of brown or yellow or whatever, right? That's brindle. And I'm trying to get my head around, what the hell? The city didn't paint the overpass, and you understand when I say overpass, I'm not talking about the structure above. I'm talking about the cement slant that comes down, right? The cement, you got a guardrail up top, you got a guardrail, you got a cement slant coming down. That's what I'm talking about. Well, come to find out, the overpass was not painted brindle. It was the homeless people going up top, sitting on the guardrails, shedding down the overpass. Shedding down the overpass. I kid you not. The streaking in the brindle was the worst stuff you can imagine. That was my final straw. Because I already knew that the city was ripping off the system. They get money for homeless people. Disgusting, right? Who dropped these milk duds down here? Anyway, I didn't eat a lot of corn. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Just thinking about it makes me sick. And you couldn't do anything about it. And by the way, one of the homeless people, the city brought in porta potties for these guys. They didn't use them. They picked up trash there. All of them had brand new mobile phones. One guy was running a bike repair shop out of his tent. Now, good for him trying to do something to get on his feet, but I'm telling you, that's how bad it was. So when I found out they get over $4,000 a person, they only spend, a few hundred, it really upset me. So let me ask you a question. How much do you think, right? How much do you think a liberal city will spend on a homeless person? Put the number in chat. How much do you think a liberal city will actually spend or get? I should say get. I shouldn't say spend. How much money do you think they get per homeless person? Per homeless person. Right? Some said 50K, some said 25K, some said 60K. Well, here is the story. And now this one is a little bit different. This is coming out of New York City. Just like salsa fit. New York City. Anyway, New York City apparently spent $81,000 on services just for the homeless last year. And that's $81,000 per person. $81,000, you could give them a brand new education and job. $81,000 per person. It has tripled over the last 6 years. And by the way, New York City's homeless population over the last 6 years has increased by 26%. $88,000. Obama started opening the door, right? Trump shut it down, got it level. Trump goes out. Look at that. $88,000 they spend on the homeless. Let me give you an example, because I've told you this before, because I always see vacant land and I always kind of fantasize about this. I'd love to buy 1,000 acres. It was Austin that gave me this idea. Put in a vast row of apartments and turn it into a working farm. You put the families in there, in the farm. You take the parents and you teach them a brand new profession, more than likely computing. You take the kids and you homeschool them. And part of it is they work the farm and grow stuff. So it's an enterprise, and they're eating all organic, all whole foods. You're allotting money for them, like this $88,000. You're running it. You're allotting money. You're right. They should be taught Python. You're putting it into an account, and then they get to be there no more than 2 years. And then when the parents cycle out trained, they go into an apartment. Their first year is paid. They've got a job. They've been retrained, and their kids have been stabilized. Do you know, even if I could plop the check and do that the city of Austin will not allow it? You can't tell them where to live. You can't force them to take training. You can't take their kids out of school and homeschool them on the facility. You can't make them work. You can't make them work to grow something. They won't do it. See, we could fix this problem with this money, but you understand. And by the way, Pat says, lived in Wimberley 2020 to 2023. I adore Wimberley, Texas. Pure water coming from the springs. It is awesome. Anyway, that's how bad New York is, because that's the racket. See, when they get all this money, they say they spend, all it is their buddies and more people they can put in government. More people they can put on checks they don't deserve running government. And that's how they stay in office, because they employ tens of thousands of people, and those people are not going to vote away their paycheck. That's how the racket works. It's absolutely disgusting. Anyway, one of the other stories that's trending is Iihan Omar going to be deported? Is she going to be deported? Here's President Trump on it.
Iihan Omar, I hope this is part of it, but she married her brother, supposedly. I mean, there's a lot of documentation. That means she's here illegally and she's a congresswoman. And I hope you're going to be looking at that, or somebody is, all right? Because she's one of the ringleaders here. She's bad news, really bad news. She's so bad for our country.
She's part of the epicenter of bringing in illegals and all this illegal money being stolen and laundered in the Somali community. And don't think that Somalis do it in the way that you think. The government allows it. They know it's going on, and a lot of it gets kicked back to the politicians and stuff to keep it going. That way, if anybody gets caught, they just sacrifice a few Somalis. Don't think it's not a racket. And that's part of the racket, like I just told you, in New York City. Here's somebody.
Why is New York City spending over $65 million on a trans-only homeless shelter whose residents get yoga classes, culinary classes?
Can I just ask you an honest question? Just an honest question. Is that okay? If your genitalia does not define your gender. We've all heard that, right? Put it in chat. If your genitalia does not define gender, why do trans people need to surgically modify their genitalia to assert they're a different gender? See, they say that your genitalia, here is their excuse. Just because he has a penis doesn't mean he's a guy, he's a she. Let me ask you a question. If in fact your penis doesn't decide who you are or define who you are, and your vagina doesn't define who you are, why do they cut off the penis to define who they are, or mutilate their vaginas with forearm skin to be a wiener to define who they are? Have you ever thought about that? When you understand that basic thing, do you realize how idiotic that is? Their actual defense, their actual excuse is 100% opposite of what they do to define who you are. That's how you know it's lunacy. Anyway, well, New York, as part of this spending, this is the newest one. I told you about their 81 grand. Check this out.
Why is New York City spending over $65 million on a trans-only homeless shelter whose residents get yoga classes, culinary classes, and are loved up on? Ace's Place is the first fully taxpayer-funded shelter to only house transgender and gender non-conforming people. It's right here in Long Island City, and I wish I could show you, but it's on a list of protected sites. So despite repeated calls, texts, and emails, the city refused to tell me where it's at. One study found a third of transgender people report being homeless at some point in their lives. But why does a shelter for them have to cost over $433,000 per bed? Well, in 2021, as part of a settlement with a trans activist named Mariah Lopez, the city was required to provide at least 30 beds to trans and gender nonconforming residents. Lopez, who is the executive director of the Strategic Transgender Alliance for Radical Reform, filed multiple complaints against the New York City Department of Homeless Services in 2017. They included discrimination over accommodation of Lopez's service animal, sexual harassment, assault, and retaliation based on Lopez's transgender status. But this isn't Lopez's first lawsuit. In 2007, they sued the city for being diagnosed with gender dysphoria as a minor while in state custody and successfully won taxpayer-funded gender reassignment surgery. But now Mariah Lopez personally gets to review and provide feedback on the state's non-discrimination policy. And the city must issue Lopez a report every 6 months with data on the shelter names, locations, and number of people housed in transgender shelters. Why? Well, Lopez's latest settlement included a slew of stipulations, including an undisclosed cash payment redacted from public documents. Now trans and gender nonconforming people must be given the option to be at a men's, women's, or transgender shelter. It's up to them. They also can't be denied their shelter of choice if there is room, and they must be allowed to move between shelters if it better affirms their identity. The settlement also requires shelter staff go through a mandatory training on the rights of trans and gender nonconforming residents. They can't discriminate based on gender identity, and if they do, they have to go through another retraining or face suspension or termination. Finally, the settlement mandates the Department of Homeless Services creates at least one transgender and gender nonconforming shelter in Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn. Which brings us back to Ace's Place here in Queens. It's set to receive $65 million in funding over the next 5 years, which breaks out to over $7,200 per bed per month. And that's a drop in the bucket to the city's Department of Homeless Services, which has a $2 billion annual budget. The shelter's executive director describes it as an opportunity for you to come home. But at that cost, why not just buy them a home?
You see how they raise money off the racket. By the way, I hear the reason those rooms cost so much, $400 per room to build, is my understanding is they brought in an expert and they were trying to define the right height in the rooms on each side of the room for the little hole between the wall to that room and this room over there. Anyway, it's a scam, and leading the scam is Iihan Omar. Again, here's President Trump on it.
Iihan Omar, I hope this is part of it, but she married her brother, supposedly. I mean, there's a lot of documentation. That means she's here illegally and she's a congresswoman. And I hope you're going to be looking at that, or somebody is, all right? Because she's one of the ringleaders here. She's bad news, really bad news. She's so bad for our country.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I told a glory hole joke. It does kind of give you a different meaning for their theme of coming home, doesn't it? Anyway, let me give you the law, because somebody said earlier, there is no way the Department of Justice is going to, you're right, it's a plumbing issue. Laying pipe ain't cheap. They're all woodworkers. Anyway, I got to stop. There's too many jokes I can make in that. Knock it off. Don't lead me astray by your chat. It's not as much a Department of Justice issue. It is, okay, more about state law. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. See, illegal Oman supposedly married a brother, etc. Yeah, I'll focus. Now, Shannon, if you were on the other side of that hole, I'd focus too. Anyway, he says he wants them to look into it. Okay? Now, not that, I'm from Arkansas. Brothers and sisters can get married, but evidently in Minnesota, you cannot. According to state law in Minnesota, Shannon said I'm in. Anyway, according to state law in Minnesota, it is illegal for somebody to actually marry their biological sibling. And of course, this is where it occurred, right? So you cannot have a civil marriage or legal marriage between siblings of any kind, including half siblings. It is against the law. Therefore, it's technically legally invalid. Legally invalid. Now, it's that standing of where she got married and the actual state she serves in. I want you to think about that. She is a lawmaker from Minnesota, tip of the spear of a lot of this Somali crap going on. And she broke state law and federal law She broke federal law by using it to get naturalized or whatever it was, right? And it's illegal. But then she rode that to being a legislator in the state. That's where the conundrum comes in, and that's probably the loophole, because in her case, supposedly, it was that marriage that allowed the issuing of the immigration by marriage benefit. And so it'll be very interesting just using law on the books. Now, here's an interesting thing. See if you recognize this language. A separate issue would arise only if the marriage was used to obtain an immigration benefit. U.S. law makes it a crime knowingly to enter a marriage for the purpose of evading immigration law. Punishable up to 5 years in prison, a fine, and immigration fall or willful misrepresentation. It is grounds for admissibility and other immigration consequences. That's the law. Did you catch the loophole in there? Tell me if you caught the loophole. I gave you a loophole in it. What was the loophole? Did you catch it? Because even in the law, there's a bullshit loophole in it. Right? Period. Here's the loophole. The loophole in this entire thing is, ready? That they intentionally, that intent thing, entered a marriage for the purpose of evading law. Well, I didn't intend. My brother is just the most handsome man in the world, and we just love each other a long time. I didn't marry him because I was evading the law. I married him because he's hung like an Arabian horse. You see these little bullshit wordplay they put in here? So what will be interesting, yes, the intent to gain benefits, you're right. That's exactly what it is. The question was when she came in, will they track it back to the benefits she got and her brother got, and not the benefits now with her family getting hundreds of millions of dollars because they run medical facilities. Did you hear that one? Total abuse. So there is a path. There absolutely is a path to send her out of the country and give her her walking papers. Now, the question is that a brusband? Who said that? Common sense? Brusband. Brosband. So the statutes are there. The definitions are there. If she took those benefits, that's provable, right? But how do you become a lawmaker in a state where you broke the law to even be in that state? Get it? It's going to be a big issue. Now, the next big issue, and I'm going to give you kind of a trigger warning here, is Iran's new leader, supremely gay. If you've been following this, okay? The Ayatollah Khomeini son has now become the de facto leader. Okay? What's interesting in this is reports are coming out in detail, are coming out that this guy, he goes by the Ayatollah, no, I'm kidding, is actually very much gay. That's it. He's gay. There are intelligence reports all over the place that have now come out. When you're a son of a world leader like that, the system keeps tabs on you. Supposedly, there are very detailed accounts, provable accounts, that this fellow is not just an occasional pipe smoker. And you know what? I don't care about your sexuality. I do not. Gayatola, that's an interesting one. I do not care about that. That's not the point. You'll see why in a minute. That is not the point. And you're going to want to stay with me. You're going to want to see this. I'm giving you the gross out warning, but it's coming in a minute once I establish the story. But I want you to know, you bump donuts, I don't care. If bumping donuts your thing, I do not care. I only have one requirement, period. Let me watch. No, don't recruit kids. I don't care if you're a Peter Puffer or a Rump Ranger. It's nobody's business. It is nobody's business. So why are we even talking about is Iranian new leader gay? Let's just start there.
President Trump was stunned to learn that U.S. intelligence indicates new Iranian Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei may be gay, and that his father, the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, feared his suitability to rule the Islamic Republic for that reason, the Post can reveal. Trump couldn't contain a surprise and laughed aloud when he was briefed on the intel, according to sources. Others in the room also found it, quote, hilarious, and joined the president's reaction, while one senior intelligence official has not stopped laughing about it for days, said one person familiar with the briefing. The shocking claim was described to the Post by two intelligence community officials and a third person close to the White House. All three sources say the implausible-sounding allegation is viewed as credible by U.S. spy agencies. Two of the sources said the intelligence indicates that Mojtaba has had a long-term sexual relationship with his childhood tutor. The third source said the intelligence indicated the affair was with a person who formerly worked for the Khamenei family. Mojtaba, who is believed to have been wounded in the same February 28th airstrike that killed his father and other members of his family, has made aggressive sexual overtures to men caring for him, possibly while under the influence of heavy medication, one of the Post sources said. U.S. spy agencies do not have photographic evidence of the 56-year-old's alleged sexual attraction to men, but the sources insisted the tip is solid, with one saying it was derived from one of the most protected sources that the government has. The fact that this was elevated to the highest of high levels shows you there's some confidence in this, added a second source.
Now, nobody knows if it's real, but this is a big deal. This is a big deal. They didn't go out and survey a bunch of goats, but supposedly they introduced a drone that can fly and sniff, and supposedly his breath smells like shit. Anyway, I know it's a bad joke, but it's okay. Let me tell you why this is so bad. Okay. All jokes aside. In Iran, consensual same-sex activity is criminal. Now, depending upon the act and the circumstances, I don't know what those are. Evidently, goats are grandfathered. That's okay. It's kind of a historic thing. But depending upon the act and the circumstances, okay? And the problem's not that he's gay. You're right. The problem's he's a terrorist. But you want to destroy the terrorist within his own country? Let the people in his country know he's gay. You get it? Okay. So now you understand why this is important. But here's the deal. inside Iran, the most minimum penalty you get is flogging, not fluffing, but flogging. You will absolutely get a prison term, which doesn't make any sense to me because they're just going to go to prison and have all the sex they want. But the cases also call for the death penalty. Capital punishment is allowed for same-sex sexual relations. Now, put that into context. He's supposed to be the supreme religious leader. He's supposed to be the supreme religious leader, and he's a pipe smoker. Now, could this be just a form of psychological warfare? I think this one is different. You got to remember, these guys have massive real estate holdings in California. I bet you didn't know that. And this is also the same rumor in the United States of America. And the person he supposedly does the rump rangering with was his tutor, who travels with him still. And so, yeah, maybe they're paying a little bit of warfare because he's undesirable, because he may have the same thoughts as his father. But then you get this thing that, okay, if he is the supreme legal leader, justice dispenser, judge, jury, and everything for a country that says that is against the law. But there's a problem. This is where I am going to, and you're right, Backquarter says supreme just means he likes men with sour cream, chives, and salsa. Okay. Anyway, just because the guy has a dirty Sanchez doesn't mean, you know what I mean. But anyway, a lot of urban language being dropped on you today. But how do you reconcile that? Now, this is where they divide the lines between the really extreme, really willing to die for Islamic law and the others. And so, yes, this may be a way just to kind of disqualify him or lead him astray, right? In their country, they don't want American movies there. You know that. They don't want them tainted by Western culture. And so they're not going to play a movie like 50 Shades of Grey. But 50 Shades of Goat, now that's different. Thank you. But I want to tell you about a phenomenon. And you're not going to like it. And I'm going to give you the inside scoop on this, and you got to understand it because this is an Islamic thing. It happens in all the Islamic countries. It's particularly rampant in Afghanistan. It's called, have you ever heard of bakabazi? Bakabazi? This is where a lot of Hamas guys practice this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? A lot of their leaders practice this. Taliban commanders, all of these guys. They steal and or hire away from families boys to dress up like girls, to dance for them, and they absolutely have sex with them. Now, you got to... laws on the books, this is a crime, but yet this is practice. They take boys, either buy them or kidnap them. Bakabazi is what it's called. Bakabazi, okay? Bakabazi. And they literally, in most cases under duress, take young boys and turn them into sex slaves while claiming they're the peaceful religion and whatever. I'm going to warn you, I'm going to show you several videos. They're not going to be pleasant. I am not going to comment on them. I'm just going to show you what this consists of.
فعلا کجا میرم ما شما؟
میریم اون بچه پیدا میکنیم که با وزن برابر باشه، 12-13 ساله باشه، خوبش باشه.
باز شوانه هم کتیمو شما میباشه؟
بله ها. میگیم مادر و پدرش میگیم که ما این شاگرد تربیه میکنیم.
باز اونا اجازه میدن؟
بله ها.
چی وعده چیزی وعده میکنیم؟
ایسا میتیم.
یعنی شما اکثرا بچه را میرین که وضع زندگیشان خوب نیست، غریب است.
غریب است دیگه، این ناتوان نیست.
They prey on poor communities and poor kids. That's if they don't abduct them. Between all of the Pashmina and all the different cultures there, most of the times they just kidnap them and force them. But the parents willingly sell their kids, and he's going to train them. This is the practice. They capture them young, or they buy them young. They train them. Then they actually morph them into transgender, let their hair grow the whole bit. And it's completely allowed. Now, this is a society that claims that's very religious, very dutiful, very practicing. It's grooming. In this particular scenario with Bakabaza boys, that's where the guys have their sex. Their wives are only used to create as many children as possible. And they all swap this evilness, swap these boys around, trade them. These little kids, when they're groomed, it's like a badge of honor. It's like driving a Rolls Royce. That's why they walk around with their Bakabazi boys. But it's the religion of peace and women are free and all this other stuff. Well, you'll get killed for it. And women, speaking of women, you've been warned.
Ano? Ilan? Ilan so ya. Inta saadang kiman. Dugsog may kasaway. Ilan Inta so istek. Ilan imarsan. Ilan kitus gama maha somers titus. Itus. Ano? Ilan? Ilan so ya somar sukuday ilan. Warani idniya dugsigayga. Id muwarig ma kusino yani. Waxaa la soo dahdid fis ka kacada. Ilaankan iga soo tirtir dugsigaygina mar damba. Ya bay tan dhaaf dhahdi.
Iyadu waa macna.
War adiga. Adi ani maxaa ii dhigtaa?
Standard and loud in Islamic law because you must train and discipline your women, your children. Everything that the left supposedly fought for women, which they now don't know what women are, women get abused and mistreated, is exactly what they're importing in. Yeah, they treat their goats and their sheep better than their women. But yet they brainwash our kids to think this is the religion of peace, and it's coming to a neighborhood near you. It's just the way it is. It's demonic. It's just like politics. Everything they say they are not. Everything they say that conservatives are, they are. And that's how it works. And then in the UK, where this is also rampant, a young girl gets raped by one of these guys, multiple of them. She eventually finds one. She kills him. And she's sent to prison for 17 years. Now, this is what is coming near us. And by the way, Hollywood participates in this. I'm going to wipe your palate clean of all this distasteful stuff. Right? But one of the movies that swept the awards at Oscar, which I did not watch, is a movie called One Battle After Another. Won 6 Oscars. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, Sean Penn, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Editing, Best Casting, and Best Propaganda, although they didn't list that one. Let me tell you real quick about this movie, right? Before I show you what I'm going to show you. This movie is all about what's called revolutionary politics and the battle against white supremacy and how immigrant detention needs heroes to rescue them. Yes. The fellow who wrote and directed this movie his name's Paul Thomas Anderson. Here's his quote. I wrote this movie for my kids to say I'm sorry for the housekeeping mess we left them in this world and we're handing off to them. Now, the story of this movie focuses on a raid on an immigration detention facility, highlighting oppressive border control, systemic racism, and the role of Latino labor and the role DiCaprio plays in this movie. And by the way, I'll make disclosure because it's out there, public information. And one of my medical companies, George Clooney and Leonardo DiCaprio are, in fact, investors in the company. Don't agree with their politics or anything like that, but they're part of the investment group that came in. But DiCaprio in this plays a revolutionary bomb maker. Think of how many people, now that it's won all these Oscars, will watch it to see what the buzz is about. And all it is propaganda. The whole story focuses on a raid of an immigration detention center and how white supremacists did this. White supremacists trying to control the border, and it's systemic racism. And DiCaprio in it is a revolutionary working with a hero of Latino labor. I know you're thinking, like, what the fuck? You're right. What the fuck? However, in the midst of this very communism promoting film, and a bunch of idiots in Hollywood, you know, they say it, they get props for it because they get more films, because that's what the system wants in its film. But I want to show you something that the tide is changing, right? The tide is changing. But this also shows that unholy trinity between media, academia. I mean, come on. You know how this works.
Extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extreme.
And this stuff pisses me off to no end of how we're bullshit programmed. But in that night, in the face of Hollywood, instead of virtue signaling bullshit and evil activity and the destruction of America, one winner who knows the difference between a man and a woman, or what a woman is, set an example for everybody. Here is the only clip from that night worth knowing about.
My family, my Irish family, they're all here. Ireland bought them flights. Where are you? Can you just... Mom, Dad, thank you for teaching us to dream and to never be defined by expectation, but to carve from your own passion. You, Fred, I love you, man. I love you. You're the most incredible dad. You're my best friend, and I want to have 20,000 more babies with you. I do. I do. And Isla, my little girl who is 8 months, who has absolutely no idea what's going on and is probably dreaming of milk. But this is kind of a big deal. And I love you and I love being your mom and I can't wait to discover life beside you. Chloe and Maggie, to get to know this incandescent woman and journey to understand the capacity of a mother's love is the greatest collision of my life. It's Mother's Day in the UK today. So I would like to dedicate this to the beautiful chaos of a mother's heart. We all come from a lineage of women who continue to create against all odds. Thank you for recognizing me in this role. This is the greatest honor. I can't even believe it. Gurv mila mila mahagut slán.
Imagine that. Somebody being brave enough to talk about the single most important career or job in the universe, being a mother, and how precious children are. And she said, my little girl. She didn't say, my child who were waiting to find out what they identify as. And she told her husband she wanted to have 20,000 more. Cracks are peeking through. I'm glad she did it. Because she's quite a bit bulletproof now that she has an Oscar. So you have to understand, she could have never said that before. And I think she eased into it the right way of just being a proud mother. But in a audience of blood drinkers and devil worshipers and all that kind of stuff, that was a ray of light coming through, and that was important. And folks, that's why we have to talk about these things. We live in a world where they stir us and provoke us to chaos. And they try to get everybody in this unstable world like the bottom there, going out in 8,000 different directions. But the deal is we have to call this stuff out and talk about it, because it's us talking about it that we all literally get in perfect sync. It is the way the universe is wired. They use it to sync for bad, and that's why they talk so much. We don't talk enough. We don't debate enough. We don't go through it. This is what happens in the universe, how God made it in a shaky world. And if we can all just get on the same page and we all dialogue and talk, it all works by knowledge base, talking, sharing, not hiding, not worried about you're going to piss somebody off, not apologizing, not running off on every fucking conspiracy there is. Just being real people talking about the real issues based on facts. And it is what gets us all in sync. I love you all. Please share this program.
This crazy world is telling you your sons can be daughters and your daughters can be your sons. When will the madness stop? Never. So you have to decide, will you comply or defy? They tell us all, you will own nothing, eat bugs, and be happy. Is this why America's largest food processing plants and food supply plants keep burning down? Do you really think this is a coincidence? Of course not. The system is telling us right to our faces what they have planned for us. You have a choice. Comply or simply defy their plan for us all. Defy the system's plan and execute your own plan. Abundant, safe, secure natural food supply. Introducing the Food Forest Bible. This bestseller by Jovan Hutton Pulitzer is the single most complete, executable, easy-to-follow plan for sustainable, self-managing food production for self-sufficiency and food security. For the first time ever, a coffee table, heirloom quality full color book which unlocks the ancient secrets of creating a food forest. Imagine planting in a way which requires no digging, no pesticides, and creates massive ancient food abundance. No fooling. Food forests are the ancient secret to planning and planting once. And have your own Garden of Eden, which will feed your families for decade after decade. Buck the system. Buck the New World Order and order your very own copy of Jovan Hutton Pulitzer's Food Forest Bible. Learn how to create a sustainable, self-managing, natural food production for self-sufficiency and food security for your family. Side yard, small yard, backyard, backlot, or even lots of acres, the Food Forest Bible works for everyone. Order on Amazon, hardcover, softcover, or ebook. Don't comply. Expertly defy the system.
Our courts are based on clear and convincing evidence. Want convictions? Want justice? For what happened in the 2020 election? Then we need your help. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The decision you make in the next few moments could decide whether we ever get our elections fixed or not. Here's why. Trump campaign and allies filed 64 different lawsuits. They all went down in flames. 100% of these cases were presented on "It's the machines," or "The machines changed the votes," or "The voting company executive said he would make sure Donald J. Trump would not win." They all went down in flames. Why? You can't bring theories to court as evidence. No supposed Zoom call or six-degree polynomial math theory or census data is or ever will be proof of fraud. You can't bring theories to court as evidence. Here's why. In both civil and criminal law, the side making a claim carries the burden of proof, and prosecutors must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Without physical or otherwise verifiable evidence, a case cannot meet this high threshold. Physical evidence is the key. The question is, did anyone get relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election? And the answer is yes, absolutely. The full forensic audit of Maricopa County, Arizona is the only evidence-gathering work which gathered relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election. Evidence so damning that the system, the deep state, and those who pulled the strings of this country have fought to keep it hidden and have hoped to have it be forgotten to time. Almost $3 million invested in time, funds, and efforts to unlock that which the system wanted hidden. But now, that evidence is in danger of being lost forever. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. With the 2026 midterms coming up, the system is going to try to lame duck President Trump and then most likely introduce new impeachment proceedings. This is the evidence which will help win the war which is surely to come. We need to keep Maricopa County full forensic investigation and archive secure and ongoing. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We need your help securing the full forensic audit archives. Don't allow the only testable, objective, and reliable 2020 election evidence fall into obscurity. Millions were spent on getting it documented and tested. This is historic evidence. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County full forensic audit archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. Please donate now.